Imagine reading an angry post from a fellow American about rising prices, only to discover a foreign government supercomputer actually wrote it.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a dystopian thriller, right? But that is the exact reality of the digital battlefield we are operating on today.
Right, so we're jumping right into a massive story for this deep dive.
Yeah.
In early 2026, the artificial intelligence company OpenAI exposed a huge, coordinated Chinese influence operation.
And it was incredibly sophisticated.
Oh, absolutely. State-linked groups use ChatGPT to create these fake social media profiles and just flood the internet with highly realistic AI-generated propaganda.
Right, and their targets were super specific. They went after American debates over tariffs and the construction of new AI data centers.
Yeah, their ultimate goal was to hijack local arguments, stoke domestic anger, and basically stall American tech progress while they catch up.
They literally weaponized the very technology that America created to try and slow America down.
Wow,
And they did it by perfectly mimicking the voice of everyday voters online. It's wild.
it really is. So our mission today is to explore exactly how foreign adversaries are weaponizing these AI chatbots to manipulate the American psyche.
Yeah.
We are going to look at the mechanics behind these campaigns, and we will answer the really surprising question of whether these billion-dollar efforts actually work.
To do this, we're pulling from two very different sources today. First, we have a detailed quarterly threat report straight from OpenAI.
Right.
And second, we are analyzing commentary from the Real Politics podcast, hosted by Brian Maxwell.
And just a pause here for you listening, Maxwell has some incredibly strong partisan views on American economic policy.
Very strong.
Yeah. And while we are absolutely not taking a stance on his politics today, his analysis of how corporations muddy the waters actually perfectly frames why this Chinese AI tactic is designed the way it is.
Exactly. Our job as your guides is just to unpack the mechanisms that these sources reveal.
Right.
Let's focus on those mechanics. Like, how do you take a piece of software and turn it into a political weapon?
Okay, let's unpack this. How exactly does a foreign government use a chatbot to build a fake grassroots movement in America? Let's start with their attack on American tech infrastructure.
Yeah, the data centers.
Right. In early 2026, OpenAI uncovered a campaign they called the data center bandwagon.
Which makes sense because building AI data centers is arguably the single biggest infrastructure priority for the United States right now.
For sure.
I mean, these data centers are the physical engines of artificial intelligence. They house thousands of specialized computer chips that require an enormous amount of electricity to run.
Right.
If you control the data centers, you control the future of AI. And the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, they know this. They know they are currently trailing the U.S. in AI development.
Okay, so instead of trying to hack into American servers or steal the technology, they just tried to get local city councils to block the construction sites.
Yeah, that is the brilliant, insidious part of the strategy. Chinese propagandists started using ChatGPT to generate highly localized internet content. I mean, they didn't write academic papers criticizing U.S. tech policy.
Right, nobody reads those anyway.
Exactly. They created memes, they made cartoons, they flooded social media with comments linking the construction of U.S. data centers to rising electricity prices and terrible noise pollution in, very specific towns.
I mean, it's kind of like a rival sports team sneaking into your town and starting a fake local petition to ban your team from practicing.
That's a great way to put it.
But astroturfing isn't exactly new. Political operatives have been faking grassroots movements for decades. What makes the AI version of this any different from, I don't know, a bunch of guys in a basement making fake Facebook accounts?
Well, it comes down to the industrialization of fake outrage. In the past, if a foreign government wanted to pretend to be angry American locals, they had to hire hundreds of people.
Right.
People who understood English slang, American cultural touchstones, local zoning laws. It was slow. It was expensive.
Yeah, that's a lot of overhead.
Huge overhead. But with AI, a single operative can prompt a system like ChatGPT to instantly clone 10,000 distinct, highly convincing personas.
Jeez.
It hyper-personalizes the propaganda at a scale we have just never seen before.
So they painted the tech industry as greedy profiteers stealing power from regular families. The goal was clearly to stir up enough localized anger to delay permits and stall construction.
Exactly, because if America gets tied up in local zoning fights and slows down data center construction,
And China catches up.
right, China gets the breathing room to build data centers left and right.
But they got caught. And honestly, this is the part that surprised me. If the AI is so good at blending in, How did anyone even notice?
What's fascinating here is the technical mechanism of how they got caught. OpenAI has a principal investigator named Ben Nemo, and his team actively tracks user data on their platform.
Okay.
You have to remember, OpenAI owns the servers running ChatGPT, so they hold an enormous wealth of information about how their tools are
Like,
used.
are you saying OpenAI is reading people's private prompts to the chatbot?
Well, not exactly in the way a human reads your text messages.
Right.
They use automated security systems to look for patterns of coordinated, inauthentic behavior.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so their systems flag these massive clusters of accounts behaving suspiciously. They could essentially watch the flow of data, like bad actors asking the chatbot to generate specific Chinese language propaganda,
Oh, wow.
and then instantly asking the chatbot to translate that exact propaganda into colloquial American English to post on sites like X and TikTok.
So they saw the digital fingerprints right at the source.
Precisely. They traced these specific operational patterns back to a Chinese tech company that conducts government work.
Wow. Caught red-handed.
Completely. And once OpenAI proved the link, they banned the network of accounts and published the findings. But what is critical to understand here is that OpenAI is currently the only major AI company actively tracking and publicly reporting this specific type of state-sponsored abuse.
Which is terrifying when you consider how many open source AI models are just floating around the internet right now with absolutely zero supervision.
It really is. OpenAI's threat report is giving us a very rare, fleeting glimpse into a battlefield that is otherwise completely invisible.
So slowing down data centers was their way of kneecapping American technological production.
Yeah.
But to truly hurt the U.S., they didn't just need to slow production, right? They needed to make everyday life feel unaffordable,
Right.
which is why they aimed their AI directly at American wallets, specifically tariffs.
Yeah. Chinese actors utilized ChatGPT to generate intense emotional opposition to President Trump's tariffs. They understand that taxes and the cost of living are absolute hot-button issues for American voters.
Here's where it gets really interesting. They didn't just write angry text posts about the economy. They escalated to highly realistic deepfake videos.
Yeah, this part is wild.
The sources detail one specific AI-generated video that falsely showed Americans working in grueling sweatshop conditions.
Right.
And the video explicitly claimed these terrible working conditions were the direct result of the tariffs.
That is a fascinating shift in tactics, because a deepfake doesn't try to win a logical argument about macroeconomic policy.
Right, it's not a spreadsheet.
Exactly. It is designed to bypass your logical filters entirely and trigger a visceral emotional reaction. If you see a video of a fellow citizen suffering, your brain processes the outrage before you even have a chance to question the source of the video.
But does a fake video of a sweatshop actually change a voter's mind on a complex tax policy?
Right.
Like if I see a cartoon about a data center, am I really going to change my vote at the ballot box?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, changing your mind on a specific fact is not really the objective.
Okay, what is?
The objective is to amplify domestic misinformation. They want to hijack the anger that is already simmering under the surface, and this is where Brian Maxwell's commentary on the Real Politics podcast becomes highly relevant.
Right. So Maxwell argues that these foreign influence campaigns often piggyback on lies that are already being told by American corporations.
Yes.
He claims that massive corporate entities use tariffs as a convenient smokescreen to just rip people off.
Yeah. Maxwell points to a watchdog report claiming that over 5,000 companies artificially inflated their prices and blamed those sudden price hikes on the new tariff.
5,000 companies.
Over 5,000. And he notes that many of these corporations were raising prices on domestic goods that were not even imported.
Right.
Meaning the tariffs did not actually affect their manufacturing costs at all.
Again, we are neutrally reporting Maxwell's claims here. But his broader argument is that corporate misinformation creates a thick cloud of domestic confusion.
Exactly.
People know they're paying more, but they don't know who to blame. Foreign governments like China then use AI to push that existing confusion into total chaos.
Maxwell actually takes this argument a step further by looking at the history of taxes in America. He points out that the United States relied heavily on tariffs to build its economy for over a century.
Right.
According to his show, there was actually no income tax in America until the year 1913.
Yeah, he argues that Democrat President Woodrow Wilson introduced the income tax by pitching it as just a tiny 1% tax on the top 1% of earners.
Yes. Maxwell claims that political propaganda in 1913 tricked the American public into supporting a tax they didn't understand, which, eventually opened the door for the sweeping income taxes everyone pays today.
So Maxwell is drawing a straight line across history here.
Yeah.
He says the public was manipulated by political messaging a century ago, and they are highly vulnerable to being manipulated right now by Chinese AI operations.
That is the core of his thesis. Whether the issue is Woodrow Wilson's tax policies from a century ago or corporate price gouging today, his view is that the American public is historically susceptible to organized deception. And these foreign AI operations are precision engineered to exploit that exact vulnerability.
But polluting the information water supply inside the United States wasn't enough for this operation.
Yeah.
They went global, and they got incredibly personal.
They really did. The campaign aggressively targeted America's reputation abroad.
Yeah.
The OpenAI report details how propagandists took opinion pieces originally written in Chinese and fed them into ChatGPT. They prompted the AI to seamlessly translate and expand these articles into Spanish.
Wow.
And then they managed to publish these AI-generated articles across 8 different mainstream media platforms in Latin America.
And the most deceptive part is that the articles never even mentioned China.
Mm-hmm.
They completely scrubbed their origins.
Right.
Instead, they focused entirely on tearing down the United States, highlighting issues like homelessness, racism, violent crime, and severe income inequality.
It is a totally calculated geopolitical strategy.
Yeah.
If China can convince America's neighbors in Latin America that the U.S. is a collapsing, chaotic society, it weakens American diplomatic influence on the world stage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes China look like the more stable, reliable superpower by comparison.
That is the broad, macro-level strategy. But the sources also detail how the campaign attacked specific individuals.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't just target abstract policies, they hunted people down.
Yeah, this is where the technology gets particularly malicious. A Chinese law enforcement official actually used ChatGPT to impersonate U.S. immigration officers.
Hold on. They impersonated federal agents. How does an AI system even do that?
By generating highly convincing, legally formatted text, they used the AI to forge fake U.S. court documents and immigration papers.
Oh, wow.
They would feed the AI templates of real legal documents and have it swap in the names and details of specific Chinese dissidents.
Wait, like people who actively criticized the Chinese government who had fled to live safely inside the United States?
Exactly.
So they weaponized the chatbot to create fraudulent legal threats?
Yes. They tried to use these forged documents to intimidate the dissidents and convince social media platforms to shut down their accounts.
That is awful.
On top of that, they used the chatbot to generate thousands of harassing, abusive comments in Chinese, just flooding the dissidents' online pages. It was basically an automated harassment machine designed to drown out their voices and silence them through sheer intimidation.
So what does this all mean? The podcast source warns us that foreign adversaries are spending billions of dollars on these influence operations.
Right.
They are industrializing fake outrage. They are forging American court documents. They are translating state propaganda into multiple languages and publishing it in foreign newspapers.
Yeah.
They are generating highly realistic deepfake videos to mess with our economy. They are throwing immense technical power at this.
Yeah.
But did it actually work?
This raises an important question, and the answer is the biggest, most counterintuitive twist in the entire story.
Okay, I'm ready.
According to the official quarterly threat report from OpenAI, despite the massive scale, the forged documents, and the highly realistic AI content, these campaigns had almost zero impact.
Wait, really? You are telling me they built an automated propaganda machine, flooded the internet with fake posts, and nobody cared?
The OpenAI report explicitly states that the operations targeting U.S. terrorists and data centers appeared to have little or no actual effect on public debate. They failed to build any real audience engagement.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around that. We are constantly told that AI is this terrifying, unstoppable persuasion machine. Why did it fail?
Well, because AI is incredibly efficient at creating information, but it is terrible at manufacturing authenticity.
Interesting.
Think about how human psychology actually works on the internet. We rely heavily on social proof.
Right, like if my friend posts it, I believe it.
Exactly. If you see an angry post from your actual neighbor, you pay attention. But if you see thousands of slightly generic, perfectly formatted angry posts from accounts created 3 days ago, your brain's spam filter kicks in.
So the sheer volume of the fake posts actually gave them away to the average user.
Exactly. Generating 1,000 fake posts does not automatically equal winning a human heart. It is mathematically easy for a machine to write an angry comment about a local data center, but it is profoundly difficult to actually trick a real thinking human being into changing their core political beliefs or joining a movement that doesn't organically exist. The American public, for the most part, intuitively recognized the noise and ignored it.
That is a massive relief.
Mhm.
We always hear about how gullible society is supposed to be, but it seems like we possess a higher threshold for cheap, manufactured outrage than these foreign governments give us credit for.
It is definitely a silver lining. We are more resilient than the algorithms assume, but it is also a stark warning.
How so?
The technology we are seeing today is the worst this technology will ever be. It is only going to get faster, cheaper, and more convincing.
That's a scary thought.
Right. The Chinese operatives might have failed to move the needle this time, but they're using these campaigns to map out the fault lines in American society. They know that issues like taxes, the economy, and tech infrastructure are highly sensitive buttons, and they will keep refining their models until they figure out exactly how to push them.
Okay, let's distill exactly what we've learned today. OpenAI caught a massive foreign propaganda network red-handed. State-linked actors utilized advanced chatbots to forge federal legal documents, generate emotional deepfake videos, and perfectly impersonate everyday Americans.
Yeah.
They attempted to stall local U.S. data centers to help China win the global AI race. They tried to fight U.S. tariffs by pushing chaotic, localized misinformation into our social media feeds.
Exactly.
Yet despite the billions of dollars spent and the incredibly sophisticated tech deployed, the American public largely shrugged and ignored them.
The operations were industrial in scale, but fundamentally hollow in their impact.
But here is why you, listening right now, should care about this deep dive. This isn't just a story about international espionage. This is about your daily life online.
Absolutely.
The next time you are scrolling through X or Facebook or TikTok and you see a viral, outrage-filled meme about a local data center ruining your town's power grid, or a highly produced video screaming about the economy, pause. Take a breath.
Good advice.
Remember the digital deception we unpacked today. You might not be reading the opinions of an angry local neighbor. You might be reading the calculated output of a foreign machine designed specifically to make you mad.
It pays huge dividends to be skeptical. If a piece of content makes you instantly, viscerally furious, it is always worth double-checking where that information actually originated before you share it.
Absolutely. And I want to leave you with one final lingering thought to mull over.
Right now, OpenAI caught this massive campaign for one simple reason. They actively police their own chatbots.
They monitor their own network traffic, they look at their user data, and they choose to publish these threat reports for the public. They are currently acting as our main line of digital defense.
Yeah.
But if foreign adversaries are rushing to build their own data centers to become the global frontrunners in AI, who is going to watch the AI systems being built over there? Because those systems will never, ever share their threat reports with us.